If you were to ask me what 5 sewing tools I would want in my desert island sewing kit, not taking into account, the necessities like a sewing machine or good fabric scissors or a set of pins, after 10 years of sewing, these are the 5 tools that I now don't want to live without. They're not big, they're not bold, they're not fancy, they're fairly inexpensive, but they have made sewing so much better. First up is a heat erasable marking pen like this one from Friction. They come in a couple of different colours and they are just a ballpoint pen that erases with the heat. I will come back to that in a second. Before I discovered these, and I only got these a couple of years ago, I used chalk, tailor's chalk or chalk wheel, which was fine, but it's quite hard to get an accurate marking. And if you do all your marking and then put your stuff away to come back to another day, quite often those markings have brushed off, they've disappeared, the chalky dustiness has gone everywhere, so it's not great. But a heat erasable pen like this one is a ballpoint pen, so you just draw on the wrong side of your fabric like you would when you're writing on paper, and then you apply heat from an iron and it makes the pen invisible. So this is where the phrase heat erasable is a little misleading, because it doesn't erase the pen, it just makes the pen invisible. So that is worth noting. If for whatever reason you decided to put your garment in the freezer, the pen would come back, and I have tested this, it does come back. Now, unless you plan on moving inside a freezer, you should be fine. This stays put until you iron it. You can get really accurate markings. You can use a ruler to draw along as well. And it just makes drawing markings like darts so much easier. Next is a sewing gauge like this one. This one I picked up from Merchant and Mills, but you can get them in different places. I know Prim do a good one as well. This might look like something that you would probably just use to measure up a hem, but this little powerhouse of a tool can do so much more. I actually have a video that I made last year where I used this little sewing gauge in a few different ways to make a shirt. So you can use this little corner here to push out corners of things like collars. You have notches along one edge, which makes measuring buttonholes really easy. The slider is super helpful to make accurate hem markings. Each part of the ruler has a different measurement as well, so that's really handy once you know what it is. And you can even use it to press bias binding into place as well. You pop a pin in this hole here, you slide this to where you want it to be, and then there are some teeny tiny little holes in the red plastic bits, and you can add those into your ironing board to keep it in place. It's super, super clever. You can also use this hole here and a pen anywhere along here to make circular markings as well, which is really cool. So this would be my absolute #1 desert island tool. You can get ones that have some other bells and whistles as well. This one is fairly simple, but my goodness me, I would not be without it. The day I got this dangerous little tool was a very good day indeed. This is a buttonhole cutter or a buttonhole chisel. It is sharp on one end and you use it to pierce into the fabric in between your buttonhole stitches. Before that, I would use the pin and the seam ripper method, which was okay, but it was like some kind of dicey sewing version of Russian roulette. If the pin wasn't quite in the right place or the fabric was on the thicker side and I had to push the seam ripper harder, we all know where that can lead. This, on the other hand, is so accurate. You place your fabric with the buttonhole stitch onto a cutting mat. If you don't have a cutting mat, you can fold up a couple of pieces of cardboard. You put the cutter in between the stitches and you push down. and it makes a really satisfying crunching noise when that blade goes through the fabric. For bonus points, you can use a little bit of something called fray check, which is a little liquid that you put on the buttonhole stitches, let that dry, and then cut into it, and that's just going to help stop the fabric threads from fraying too much. This turning tool set bought me an insane amount of joy when I first used it. You can get it as a set with different sizes. This one is for Prim and does come with 2 other sizes, but this is actually so far the only one that I have used. It is essentially just a wide straw and a stick of some kind. You could use a pencil if it fits through, or a chopstick or something like that. So if you don't want to spend money on an actual turning tool set, you can definitely improvise. And it has made turning fabric loops a million times quicker and easier. It works best if your fabric strip is sewn closed at one of the short edges as well as along the long edge. But if you need both ends to be open, you could just baste it closed and then open it once you've turned it through. All you do after you've sewn your strip of fabric is put the straw bit inside. Then you use the stick to push the fabric down inside the tube, turning it the right way out. And in one fairly quick, swift motion, it comes all the way through. That is it. It is so quick and so simple. I do have a video tutorial series as part of the Plus membership on Thready Set Go, which shows you 4 different methods for turning a loop of fabric. So if this one doesn't work for you, maybe you need to turn a much more narrow loop of fabric, then head on over to Thready Set Go and check that out. And whilst you're there, pop into the forum and let me know what you are sewing this week. The newest tool in my sewing kit is a pair of Duckbill scissors. My husband actually bought these for me earlier this year. These ones are from Beyond Measure. Obviously, I have my big fabric scissors and little snips for cutting threads, things like that. But these ones are so good for grading seams. They have the flat curved part which glides in between layers of fabric, meaning that you can snip the seam really close to the stitches. The blades are also really sharp, so if you need to cut notches or clip into curves, fabric scissors, your big fabric scissors, can be a little cumbersome and it can be really easy to go through the stitching line. These are nice and sharp and they are much more precise, so they are fantastic for that too. So that's it. Those are 5 little tools that I could not be without. Like I said, obviously I need my seam ripper, I need a good iron. Those things are pretty obvious, but these are the ones that you might not think about, but you'll be so glad you've got them. Let me know in the comments, what are your desert island sewing tools? And don't forget to come and say hi over at Thready Set Go. The forum, the stash organisation, and the sewing planner tools are all completely free to use. I hope to see you there.